everyone, welcome to the 420 Smoke Room. Today we have Wendy here. She is an influencer from many platforms. Hi Wendy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm great. I didn't know which platform to shout out for you, so I'm going to let you take over on there because you do so many wonderful things in the cannabis community.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am an activist, and I started, kind of on this path because of my own illness, and cannabis saved my life. Really, I was bulldozed on 16 pharmaceutical drugs, and unable to care for myself, in a power wheelchair, and I had progressed to arm crutches, but I was still really just surviving, and it was cannabis that allowed me to get through the withdrawal process, come off of opiates and other drugs, um, and start really taking care of my health in a different way. So I am on many different platforms. I have a radio show, TV show, and podcast called The Edge Show, where we bring together plant medicine, wellness, music, art, and women's empowerment. And we've been doing that for quite a while. And the show airs on radio stations in several states and on all major podcasting formats, YouTube, and on the Relevnt app.
Definitely.
And
I've been seeing you're doing
yeah.
so much in the cannabis community, and lately I've been really following your YouTube a little more as well. I really love what you guys have going on over there.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah, the show is really kind of a labor of love for me. I love talking with guests from all over the world, really. Yesterday, I interviewed a woman in Israel talking about ADHD. And, you know, one thing that I've learned after interviewing so many people is just that, we're all on this journey together. And no matter where people are, you find really a lot of similarities, and people that are really interested in helping people to find their own way with health and wellness, and have happier and better lives. So it's just really inspiring for me to be able to do that, and realize that we're all one human race trying to move along, move forward.
Definitely. What got you started with your book journey? I don't know if anybody knows about the books you have, but I've definitely been really interested in your cannabis books. I've noticed you've published, it looks like 2 or 3 books already.
Yes. So I after I had been okay, so I think people are saying it's a little hard to hear you. You might have to come a little closer to whatever your microphone is.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I wrote a book about my health journey because I had been, going to different events, speaking, talking about my journey, and lots of people would tell me they felt inspired and they wanted to pass on the information, to other people. And so finally, I basically decided I would write down the story, um, and then also I wanted to give people kind of a guide about how they could start to take back their own health, because what I did was not only cannabis; it was a combination of things. Starting to move my body more, exercise, looking at sleep, looking at nutrition, looking at positive thinking. Really, my whole journey started because I changed my mind and decided I could be healthier. And so the book tells my story and what happened, because I have a number of chronic illnesses, and they cycle. They cycle. There's times you feel better, times you feel worse, but you can still um, you can still create wellness despite these chronic illnesses. So the book, it's not very long. I also wanted it to be like news you can use, quick read, and hopefully change somebody's life for the better. So it's short and to the point, and the first part tells my story. The second part gives you a recipe for how you can do it yourself. And I also included a link for a meditation, because, like I said, positive thinking and believing in myself again was key to starting to take back health. And so meditation is really a big part of how I take care of myself, and what we tell ourselves we create in our lives. So, the cannabis was key also. I believe you can't create healthcare without THC, right? It's right in the letters, THC.
Yes.
So you really need that. My endocannabinoid system, I think I had a cannabinoid deficiency, and by adding it to my system, it was like the key element. First change my mind, oh, I can get better. Now add the cannabis, and then everything else started falling into place too,
Yeah,
because it
that ripple
opens your
effect.
mind so much.
Yeah, the ripple effect is definitely key. And you've been such an inspiration because I feel like my journey is similar in that way. And I definitely want to follow your footsteps. And I've been, using cannabis now for some times for my illnesses as well. And I definitely feel everything you're saying to be absolutely, I resonate with it. And manifesting your positive thoughts is the first step with cannabis. It's
Hmm.
important when you have chronic illnesses.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure. And so I feel like the book, it's called 16 My Journey into Wellness, because I was on 16 different drugs and what I call completely bulldozed. Like, I didn't even realize how messed up my thinking was. I mean, how can you think clearly when you're taking 16 different substances? The doctors don't even know how they interact after you take two, you know, and some of them were heavy duty things. I have psoriatic arthritis, so I was taking methotrexate, which is the chemotherapy drug,
mhm.
and then, on top of that, all the opioids, morphine round the clock, Percocet, Valium, gabapentin. I mean, it was endless. And, Angela would take me to doctor's appointments and I would fall asleep. I
Yeah.
mean, I
That
just couldn't
gabapentin,
even.
though, is really strong in itself, and the side effects
Mhm.
alone on that medication with your nervous system don't outweigh the benefits, I feel, for any of the protocols that they use. Gabapentin for a large range of diseases, and they like kind of like cannabis, how we do, oh, cure all, but gabapentin does not cure all.
No.
And I definitely feel like they love to add gabapentin to everyone's regimen whenever they're getting complaints of like the
Right.
side
The
effects
pain and.
of interacting
Mhm.
the meds. I feel like gabapentins their band-aid.
Right. Well, it's like it doesn't heal anything. It reduces symptoms like neurological symptoms and such, but it's not healing it. It's just helping take the symptoms away. So, and it snows you. And it is on the list. There's like this cocktail of drugs they give patients who have multiple chronic illnesses, and that's one of them.
Yep.
And once for me, once I started reducing the pharmaceuticals, and in the beginning, it was a lot of cannabis. Like so I smoked cannabis when I was young. I smoked my first joint when I was 12, and through high school. Um, and I was kind of quiet about it. Like I had my friends, but I did very well in school. They had no idea what I was doing. And it helped me with the trauma that I was experiencing. I didn't even realize it was medicine at the time, but it did help me. And then I went off to college, and I didn't use it. I After I graduated from college, I worked in healthcare where we drug tested people. I had employees that I drug tested, and if they were hot for THC, they would dismiss, or I didn't hire them if it was a hiring situation. So I was on that side of it, and I had no idea it was medicine really. And so when a friend offered it to me in 2013. I got sick in 2011. In 2013, I was still on all the drugs they put me on. I was still on 16 drugs. And I just, I had an epiphany. I heard a voice that said your body can heal itself. And I resonated with that. I knew that, but I had forgotten. And so I had just started weaning off the drugs and was in withdrawal. And my friend she was really an acquaintance. She stopped by to bring me some groceries, and she's like, "What is wrong with you? You look worse than you did, you know." And I said, "Well, I'm trying to get off these drugs. I got to see what my body can do because I'm just surviving, and you know, what do I got to lose, right?" And she offered me cannabis, and she said, "Have you tried marijuana?" And I was like, at first, I was like, "I'm trying to get off drugs. What are you doing?" You know, but those first few puffs with her, her name is Donna. She saved my life, man. She's like, I those first few puffs, the pain went down, the withdrawal went away, and I knew it was my medicine. That feeling I had when I was a teenager using it, I got it again. Just clicked. I felt it like click into place, you know.
Definitely. I
Um,
totally actually get what you're saying. Like, I'm over here, like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm totally with it. Because when I first started cannabis back for medical purposes, it was completely the same. I was getting off of a duffel bag. I don't even know how many medications. I still have the duffel bag to this day with all the bottles and every pill in the
Wow.
bottle from
Wow.
when I quit. And it's about 10 years old, the bag. And the prescriptions in it are just as old, but they're just the same relevant medications that they use today. And
Mm-hmm.
cannabis wasn't even an option to add to the bag, where today legally we in Michigan we can. And that's how far science has come in the cannabis community, but in the pharmaceutical community, they're frozen in time.
Yeah, I think, you know, there is like mild progress, but the problem is it all boils down to greed, right? So if they just
Definitely.
end prohibition and leave it to us, right? Leave it to the states, leave it to the people, they're not going to make the money that they can make if they finally get it in the pharmaceutical pocket, you know, completely. I mean, there are a few cannabinoid drugs that Big Pharma has put out. But I think, I mean, that's the main problem. And when you talk about the duffel bag, I get this feeling in my stomach because I remember when I moved back to Arkansas, I was cleaning out my house there and found bags of drugs. Like, I don't even know. I mean, I started pulling the bottles out and I started crying because I remember living that life. And I don't ever want to go back to that
Nope,
life.
that's why I have my duffel bag. It's kind of like the thing that sits on my closet shelf as a reminder of
Mm-hmm.
what chronically ill looks like under the pharmaceutical treatments. And I look at my life today and I know that pot has saved my life and cannabis has saved me. And I'm on one medication that I can consume in 30 different ways, like whether it's an edible, whether it's a tincture, whether it's an RSO, whether it's a beverage, whether it's, you have multiple ways of consuming it. You don't just, I could take it
Mm-hmm.
in as many forms as I want for each disease. Like, I feel like when I smoke cannabis, it helps me with my gastroparesis and stuff, but not the same as eating it because it's going through the organ and being digested that actually has the disease. So it's like a direct source
Mm-hmm.
where my lungs aren't the ones with the digestive, but it does get into my bloodstream and that helps. But I definitely feel like depending on which disease you're treating, using cannabis in 20 different forms and having a duffel bag of cannabis is so much better if I were to put them side by
Right.
side. my
Right, exactly. You
my
know, I
life.
mean, it was a little triggering finding that bag of drugs. I was like, man, that was my life, you know. And so I cycle my I have multiple chronic conditions, and when they're flared up, like I've been in a psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis flare for a while now. Have tried every form of cannabis. I don't feel like the quality of cannabis in Arkansas is what it was in Massachusetts, number one. And number two, I have no access to raw cannabis like I was using there, and there are no grow rights here. So even though there's access some places, we have to remember that it's not full access, right? And we still are choosing between being a criminal or a full patient,
So
you
where
know,
are
many
you
times,
where are you
because
located?
people, you know, graciously offer me what I really need, but I am, you know, visible. I'm an activist. You know, I can't do that. And I want to follow the law. I want to, you know, but it's so unfair and so ridiculous. So I am back on a few pharmaceutical drugs by choice, but I feel still empowered in those choices. I'm choosing them because I want to do more in my life. It's my only choice at the moment,
No, and I totally
is to
support
add,
that.
to add in these
I
few, but
support
it's a
that.
choice. It's not like, oh, they're telling me I have to take this,
No, and
you
not
know.
all diseases can be fully cured with cannabis to a level of a coping, level. When we're productive citizens in society, it's kind of hard. Like there are certain diseases that you do still need some pharmaceutical medications with, but to go from a duffel bag to three, or from six to back on three,
Mm-hmm.
that's not that many. And honestly, if you feel like they're helping for you and you're happy about the changes, it's when you feel like they're not helping is when we feel imprisoned by the choices. So as long as you feel
Right.
like they're helping
Mm-hmm.
you, then your choices are empowering, because anything you do to help you, I feel like cannabis and pharmaceutical can be used side by side together, but and eliminate a portion of the meds. In the duffel bag,
Right.
I was lucky to get rid of the duffel bag, but I still suffer, and I'm currently causing long-term damage to some of my organs by not choosing pharmaceutical medications. And I've been reconsidering myself,
Mm-hmm.
um, implementing one or two, but I can't quite put my finger on which one or two I need yet,
Mm-hmm.
to feel empowered with it, because I want to feel empowered with it and make those choices that you're actually making. Like I honestly feel like I look up to you a lot. Like our stories are so similar. I
Thank
feel like
you.
you're just further along in the medical battles with and making those decisions than I am. And I look forward to hearing your verdict, and if you feel like they're helping, because that encourages me to also make that move, because the pharmaceutical
Mm-hmm.
company can help me to some level, like with my kidney disease or my thyroid disease or my lupus. Those are three medications that with three of my diseases that actually do need long-term treatment forever with pharmaceutical medications, because if not, you
Right.
are damaging your organs. And I've made the choice, but I feel like cannabis has helped me, but then there's days where I feel like maybe a pharmaceutical would be good right now.
Hmm. I
And
think it's a hard balance, and I think a lot of cannabis activists and educators, like we are, feel almost. I know there's times I feel like a little bit of shame when I grab the pill bottle. I'm like, man, I don't want to take these things, but I have to make these decisions because I'm in pain every day. My skin is so broken out, it hurts, and nothing is working. But I know if I take this biologic, even if I'm so my thing is I can stop it at any time. I can take it right now and feel better and clear things up and keep working on the cannabis side to see what's going to help me and then come off of it again. It's not like it has to be a straight line. And I don't think we should feel any shame for it. I see some other cannabis folks, talking about how we shouldn't ever take these pharmaceuticals. I think it's ridiculous. We have to do
what we have to
what's going to
do.
heal us and make those decisions accordingly. And I really am so inspired by you, Trisha. Also, you are out there despite your own health issues, just like me, despite our health issues, talking about the plant, giving people a voice and using your voice to talk about how it helps you. I think we have to be clear and honest about this. Look, chronic conditions cycle. There's times you feel much better. I know there's times I feel pretty good, and then a few weeks later I'm like having trouble getting out of bed in the morning. My skin's broken out again. I'm struggling with heart issues again, or whatever it happens to be. But we can still make a difference, and I think by showing people that, yeah, sometimes we're going to reach for that pharmaceutical because that's the best choice. And that's okay.
Yes, and I totally agree with you. But I do want to ask a question. How do you feel now that you've been back on them? Do you feel like that they are helping your body and they gave you that relief that you're looking for? Not like, no, I'm not saying specifically here for the audience. I'm not talking about an opiate or a pain medication. I'm actually talking about
No,
pharmaceutical prescription medication for your specific conditions. Do you feel like they are relieving, to the extent that you could, that they're helping? Because I am on edge. Like, I'm a little nervous. I want to go back because I feel like a part of me needs a portion of pharmaceuticals. So for people who
hmm
are listening, who are just like me right now, who are teeter tottering, because I know I'm not going to drop cannabis, that's for sure. But I would like
right.
to implement something that's going to still help, because cannabis is not doing, I have like 30 diseases. Cannabis is not helping all 30.
No. Well, and that doesn't mean the cannabis is bad. There are benefits. Like for me, um, you know, so the drugs they have for psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis take a while to work, right? So I'm not to answer the question. I would say, so I tried one and it actually helped a lot. The pain was almost gone. The fatigue was so much better, but the side effects were so bad that I couldn't keep taking it. So that was a little discouraging, but I came off of it and waited about a month to get it out of my system. And then now I'm on a new one, which does not have those terrible side effects. I mean, not to be gross, but diarrhea 5 times a day. I can't live that way. Nausea. It's just not worth it. Yeah, the pain is less, but I can't leave the house because I need the toilet. It's terrible.
No, I totally do know that feeling with
Right.
gastroparesis and
Yeah,
IBS. I feel like something's always coming out of one of my ends.
yeah, it's tough. So now this new one, it's called Talt. I have a little, my energy is better. The pain is a lot better. So I will never go back to opiates or, I think they have a place in acute medicine. If you break your leg and the pain is terrible, of course, you want their pain medicine, right?
Yes, those
But,
situations that are deemed necessary. But to go on
right.
long term treatment for chronic illnesses, you have to find something that you can take. Chronic is long term, so you need a long term treatment.
Yes, the opiates are not, they never should have been a long-term treatment.
No, and they're
Even,
blockers.
I had to call an ambulance back a few months ago. I do have heart issues too. Many people who have, any kind of arthritis, autoimmune diseases will have some heart issues. So I have stents and I've had different issues. Anyway, I had chest pain. I hate calling an ambulance or going to the hospital at all. But I did finally give in and do it. And as soon as I got in the ambulance, they wanted to give me fentanyl. In fact, he didn't even ask me. He drew it up in a syringe or whatever, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to give you your fentanyl now." And I said, "No, you're not. I don't need it. I don't want that." you know.
Right.
So they're very quick to give these things, and we have to keep I mean, the chest pain was bad, but man, it wasn't fentanyl bad. Are you kidding me?
And what happened to morphine being the first choice? At least, why are we going straight to fentanyl?
Right.
Like, why
It
is
was
fentanyl
scary.
on the EMS? Like, I understand if I got shot, okay, fentanyl. Okay, did someone stab me? Okay, fentanyl. Did I get hit by a car, ran over? All right, fentanyl. Okay,
hmm
but why was this the first choice, especially for someone who's having heart issues? Is fentanyl really what we want to give them?
I know. I was so shocked and so glad I was not like passed out.
Right, you weren't
Y-
oblivious to the say. Oh, I heard that. I heard that all right, like loud and clear. I'm up.
Right? Yeah. So we still have, I
Lord.
think in all these situations, I mean, gosh, you have all these illnesses you're dealing with. I don't even know. I haven't counted up what I have, but I have a lot too. And so we have to kind of keep an open mind and realize that sometimes we need these things, but still really go into it knowing that you're in charge of your health care. And, I think that sometimes pharmaceuticals are really going to improve the quality of life. That's what I look at. I'm like, okay, I can keep going having trouble getting out of bed because of the extreme fatigue from these chronic illnesses or ongoing pain that is terrible. And the cannabis maybe takes it away a little bit and makes me happy, but it's not it's not doing what I need it to do. So my quality of life is suffering. So now I'm going to look to a pharmaceutical. That's how I'm feeling right now. If someone told me I would feel this way back like 5 years ago, I would have said, no way. I
But
mean, I was down to
well,
one pharmaceutical also.
it's odd that you bring that up, because I feel the same way. I wouldn't have felt that way. I'm teeter tottering with the choices you actually have already made. And if you would have
hmm
told me even 6 months ago that I'd be thinking like that, especially being a cannabis activist. There's no way you would get me to believe that I would need a pharmaceutical. But I
Right.
do feel that way now, and I feel like the reason is because of our tolerance level. There's only so much for any medication, even Tylenol, Motrin. If your body builds up a tolerance. So I was low key kind of thinking of quitting cannabis for 30 days and doing like a 30-day, no pharmaceuticals, no cannabis free trial, like a 30 days, let it get out of my system. I might make it 2 weeks, but 30 days, I'm going to try
That's a
2 weeks
lot.
tops.
Yeah.
But I think that if I just unconnect the receptors for a moment and don't give them anything to recept, that they'll reset the same way they would if you were to take yourself and go through withdrawals of any medication. And then your body, it can now be ready to receive it again or not. But I think that that reset is actually needed sometime in life, because if you're on it consecutively for chronic illnesses the way we are, we're not just smoking once or twice a day. I smoke personally 5, maybe 6, maybe 10.
Hmm.
I don't know what today is going to hold. What do I have set on the schedule? Am I cleaning today? Am I doing yard work? Okay, let's up the number. Am I doing a podcast? Okay, we could lower the number. I'll be a little busy talking. Could we?
Hmm.
So it's kind of like my regimen is based on what I'm actually doing and what do I need to get through what I'm going to do, type of
Right.
regimen, where I feel like if
Hmm.
I reset that, my body receptors right now are so immune to the cannabis that it's not able to relieve that full pain. Like my kidneys still, after I smoke, still have pain, where a pharmaceutical, actual pain medication would relieve that pain and take that pain off my back, where I could go through and clean the yard today pain free. And so you teeter totter between, do I want to go back to the doctors and get on regular medications and maybe some pharmaceuticals for those really heavy days? But then I was thinking, no, 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 no. There's a holistic way. There's something I'm missing, and I kind of forget about that whole pharmaceutical order of operation of your body's immune to it, honey. You got to switch meds, even with autoimmune diseases, because that's how
Right.
our receptors and RNAs work. Is they get immune to certain autoimmune diseases, medications, and then we have to switch medications because all of a sudden, out of the blue, they decide, yeah, this isn't working for me anymore, I'm done. And I kind of
Right.
feel like cannabis is teeter tottering. So if I switch from indica, sativa, hybrid, it makes a difference sometimes, but it's still not enough of a difference that just by switching the type of cannabis or the way I consume it is enough to still do it. I honestly have been really thinking of just doing a cleanse.
Yeah, I think, people talk about taking a tolerance break or taking. So I hadn't done that. It's interesting you brought this up because um I mean, Angela will tell you it's been a little rough. The last few weeks, I reduced the amount of cannabis I was using. Well, full spectrum, but still using CBD and CBN, some other cannabinoids. I just wanted to kind of see the difference with the THC. So one of the issues is, physically is one thing, but I also have anxiety, PTSD, and depression, and I did not realize how much the full spectrum medicine was helping with those things. So, coming off of a good deal of it for a little bit just to kind of give a little break and see what I've got again, um, I realized, the PTSD has been really bad. Like I can't really go without it for those reasons. The anxiety, depression. Like she was looking at me, and she's like, Wendy, you look like somebody died. Like, seriously, you gotta go smoke a joint. Like, seriously, And
Yeah.
so it's really like multifaceted, it's not, it's hard. But I think experimenting and seeing is a good idea. Kind of see what it's helping,
Yes, I
how much
definitely
you really
think,
need.
because I
I
feel
don't know.
like for you, it's the
Yeah.
psychedelic part of the THC that's helping the PTSD. So you need the THC for the psychedelic part, because with PTSD, you have to have a psychedelic medication, and if you don't, then you're not medicated for that, and it's gonna be bad because that's kind of how that works. So I could see why it didn't go the way you had hoped for you, but I definitely do think that I'm gonna try it because I do have some
Hmm.
anxiety and stuff, But I think that even if I lowered the number like once a day, like when I'm having an anxiety issue, I could go smoke a joint, like you said.
Right, right,
But I don't
right.
have to go as much as I was or something, or as strong. I would say maybe because I am a chronic smoker. Like I'll smoke like two, three blunts back to back, and then I'm straight. Like so, like I'm not just a one blunt smoker.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, so I think, I always say every body is different, right? So for me, I'm trying to figure out now that I've decided that I'm going to take these few pharmaceuticals that are helping me, where does the cannabis fall and what do I need? That's kind of what I was thinking. I think that's kind of what you were saying about
Yeah.
yourself too. And everybody's different, My endocannabinoid system is different than yours. Um, and you have to figure out like what really works. But I think the main thing, like Miss Teddy put a message on here, she's saying like she feels bad taking pain meds, but you you have to do what's best for your body, and it doesn't mean you'll always be on them. Maybe right now is a difficult time and you're having more pain and the cannabis for whatever reason isn't doing the trick. So like I say, look at your own quality of life and wellness and make those decisions, and nobody should ever feel bad
No, not at
about
all.
whatever
And I
decisions you
love what you
make.
said earlier about feeling empowered while you do it. And I definitely think
Mhm.
Teddy should take that advice because you are helping yourself, whether it's a pharmaceutical or cannabis or both. You have to take that and still be your own activist and, for your body and do what's best, like she said, and feel happy about the fact because you know what you're doing isn't overdoing it because you know that there's a logical reason. It's not like you're just taking your pain meds in the morning and 2, 3 in the morning together, and it's like supposed to be the whole day dose. You know what I mean? You're not overdoing it.
Right.
If you're just taking them as needed, like it's prescribed, you should feel empowered and be happy about it. To be honest, I totally agree with both. I definitely feel like the cannabis is a good start though and does do a lot for me. Now, I have some more questions for you about your platforms, perhaps. So, if you could tell us a little bit more about exactly what type of podcasts you do. I know that you do interview quite a different type of people. I've noticed you interview influencers, you interview cannabis users, you kind of interview a lot of different people. So, I kind of wanted you to break down a little bit about what it is, exactly how it works, and if people were interested to possibly come on and maybe work with you in the future, how would they do that?
Oh, sure. So like I said, I have the Ed show. It was called the Wendy Love Ed show for a long time, but we changed the name. It was too long, number one, and number two, I write the show and interview the guests, and Angela Edge is the producer and has a team that gets it edited and on TV here in Fayetteville and on the different platforms. So we decided the Edge show was probably a better, more accurate picture of what it is, and we bring together plant medicine, music, art, women's empowerment, and wellness. So the guests that are on, if anyone's interested in being a guest, we're always looking for musical guests. So part of the show is that we pair a cannabis strain with a musical guest. And since we've been doing the show online, we used to do the show in a studio here in Fayetteville, but with the pandemic, we've been doing it from home for 2 years now. And but the good thing about doing it from home is that we can have music videos from bands from anywhere. So we've had musical guests just from all over the country. And Dr. Brian Nickel is a cannabinoid doctor, and he pairs the music video with the cannabis strain and explains why he chose that strain when he
That
watched the
sounds
video.
amazing. I didn't know that you did that particular part. I actually work with
Yeah,
a few people that are in the music industry, and I've been interviewing people, and I've been working with KM 420 Radio now, and we've been trying to get more people in the music industry to submit their music over there. So I definitely would also like to send these people to you as well, and I definitely would like to do that. Is that door an option?
yeah. So they just have to have a professional music video. So they can submit it to aedgeproductions@gmail.com. And Angela reviews the music videos and makes a decision about whether it's right for the show. We
Okay.
do ask, we have a few rules about it because I'm really big in women's empowerment. Um, and, uh, and so if the lyrics are, putting down women at all, we wouldn't select that video. It's just not right for our show because that's part of our platform. So we do, she actually does watch and listen to the lyrics and make a decision about whether it's right for the show. But if you have anyone out there, if you have a professional music video, even a live video from a show, as long as, the sound is good and the lighting is good, send it along to aedgeproductions@gmail.com for review, and she'll get back to you and let you know. And sometimes, like right now, I think we have the music booked for the next couple of weeks, so it might be a few weeks before it's in the show. The Edge show is produced, so it's not live. So we actually produce the segments and the editor puts it all together, and we release it when it's ready the next week usually.
Okay.
So they're dropped on Wednesday. And Angela also has a radio station, WJAE 420 Radio.
I didn't know that was
And
her. I've been listening over there and just kind of been being a little nosy over there, but I didn't know that was her.
yes, so it's exciting. We do a show together on there called Tea Time on Sunday evenings. That's a live show, and we just talk about whatever, like family, cannabis, music, all kinds of stuff. We just chat for about an hour. People usually like it. We sometimes can be funny,
Well, I
um,
definitely
but
want to tune in.
so the Ed show airs first on WJ 420, and then it rolls out to the different stations and stuff. So it's for TV, radio, and podcast. So when people submit a music video, just know that it'll be aired on Fayetteville Public Television. It'll be aired on YouTube, and then all the audio platforms like the Relevant app, like Anchor, Apple Podcasts, all of those. So it airs a bunch of different places. It airs on KM 420 radio on Sundays, actually. Um, so it's pretty cool. It's a lot of coverage, a lot of people listening and watching, and so yeah, that's the music part. And then in the show, we also we have a dog named Mary Jane, and we got her during the pandemic. She was a puppy. We had a lot of difficulty training her, so um, she's being trained at a place called Off Leash Canine Training here in Fayetteville, and that's part of the show now, training Mary Jane.
Oh, that's
um,
awesome. I actually like that because I do, I have puppies coming as well, and I'm a big dog lover. So I would
yes,
might like some of those techniques that they give because that's some good information that would be free.
yeah, it is. It is, and she loves the trainer. Actually, the videos are cute, and so that's part of the show. And then Miss Teddy has a segment. It's the Food is Medicine Minute. It's a 1 minute segment where she talks about something food related to the episode, and she's always entertaining and fun. And it's kind of like a quick 1 minute tip about food.
Okay.
Um, and then I do wellness interviews. So each show has a theme. The one we made this week is about ADHD, and I interviewed a woman who wrote a book about it, and she talked about um, different tips with ADHD, why she through her research feels this it's so prevalent, and so it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm
And so
definitely want to tune in. So you said ADHD specifically is what the whole book is about?
yes,
Is it
I don't
about
have
like
in
what
front of
form of
me.
treatments does she talk about? Because my son suffers from ADHD and we recently got a pharmaceutical medications, but I
Hmm.
do want to figure out not cannabis, but I want to figure out a
Hmm.
holistic way or like just up in certain foods or stuff. I know there's so much research out there, but I literally have no idea where to start.
Yeah, it's I will send you a link. I don't have it right in front of me at the moment, but the show comes out next Wednesday, and in the meantime I'll send it to you. She has a lot of theories about why so many kids and adults too, but it usually starts in childhood, are
Mm-hmm.
suffering from ADHD, and has some great information. So each show has a theme like that. The one coming out next week is ADHD. This week, the show was about greens, and so we talked about eating all different types of greens and why they're good for you, and also smoking your greens. And so if anyone is interested in being a guest as in the wellness part of it, you can also email about that. Each week has a theme that I look for guests to fit in with that theme.
Okay.
And Yeah, and then sometimes there's also a plant medicine guest specifically. It just depends on what the topic is. But we weave cannabis through the show in different ways, like with the cannabis pairing on the Food is Medicine Minute. Brandon is my co-host, Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee is he has a morning show on a major radio station here in Fayetteville, and I was so excited when I asked him if he would co-host the Ed Show with me, and he said yes, because he's just really well known here, and he's very high spirited and happy and fun to work with. Um, so he's brought another dimension to the show, and he also is one of the announcers for the Razorbacks here, Razorback Sports. So he's kind of a sports guy, and I am not a sports person at all. So it's kind of cool that he brings that dimension to the show also.
Right.
Um, so that's the Ed Show, and like I said, if people are interested in being a guest or want to learn more, it's aedgeproductions@gmail.com. And then, like I said, I do on the radio station. We do tea time. We don't usually have a guest on tea time, but occasionally we might. And then, on Wheat Speak here on the Relevant app, I interview cannabis guests, specifically cannabis guests of all different kinds. And the way that it's developed now, we have yourself, Trisha, and lots of people who are influencers and podcasters on the app now doing segments on Weed Speak. So there's lots of stuff going on there. If you're not following Weed Speak, please do.
Yes, and I do on the 20th every month at 5 o'clock Michigan time, which for here. So yeah, I definitely love Weed Speak. Weed Speak's got so much going on, I can't even keep up. I feel like every day someone new is coming on, and I'm so proud of all the work that you're doing, Wendy. You are truly amazing, and you've thrown together so many awesome projects that and I'm really interested in this book. The journey into your 16. It's called
Yes,
16, correct? It's the journey into your wellness.
yes,
That's what I
16.
really want to
But
follow it because I've been reading my book and I feel like we resonate so much together. And I
mhm.
didn't really know too much about what your book was about, but I'm really glad we got to go over that because it really does connect to me. It makes me want to read it because I feel like you're like it's like my life basically, like all these
Right, we
diseases,
have a
and
lot of
I
similarities,
so
and
relate.
I'm so excited to watch your journey and proud of you for everything you're doing as well. And yeah, I mean,
Thank
we're all in this
you.
together, and it's great to connect with other people, and really, it kind of like also validates a little more. Like, I'm not alone. There's so many people like me and you that have suffered. I call myself a survivor, disabled survivor of U.S. healthcare, because U.S. healthcare really is, pills, tests, and surgery. And I went through so much of it. And now just to be, more discerning and understand the journey a little more. So yeah, definitely check out my book. It's on
Yes.
Amazon, 16, My Journey into Wellness.
Uh,
I also wrote and illustrated two books for kids about the same kind of subject. Helpful Hannah creates her own health and happiness because I want little girls to know that they can create their own health and happiness. and then Helpful Hannah educates herself about cannabis. So those are geared toward kids, and it was lots of fun doing that project.
Yes, that kid's book. I was actually looking at the graphic arts. Who did the art in that book? It is beautiful.
Thank you. That me. I did it.
It's beautiful, and it's a kids. It is a children's book, and I was very interested in that. And kind of what is your perspective on children with cannabis?
Well, I think that we have to talk to them about the truth. They're always going to be interested in trying it. It's alluring to all of us, right?
Hmm.
And if we can just tell them the truth and be open and understand that with a developing brain it can not be a good thing to do, right? So you just tell them the truth about it. And then if they have a condition that warrants it, just like any medication, um, have it be an option. If you're, especially if you're in a state where it's legal for kids, you might have to jump through a few hoops, but I think it's really important. It's very important to tell them the truth, and that's why I wanted to do that particular story, just to kind of say to kids, if you're not sure what to tell them, like, just pick up the book and you can read it together, and they can walk away with having a little more knowledge and understanding.
Definitely. And that's amazing because there are so many kids out there. Like when Charlotte's Web came out for epilepsy children, it became like the number one working thing for, and but these children had no idea what they were getting into because there was no education. So I really love the
Right,
fact that you're able to provide that for them, or for moms who don't even know how to explain because they're still learning themselves. So now we kind
right.
of got to learn together. Um,
Yes, and just stay open. Kids are like little sponges and they hear everything. So why not just tell them the truth about it? And they'll appreciate that, especially even as they get older too, that they understand the truth. And maybe they'll need it in their life, maybe they won't. Maybe they have more compassion for somebody who's using it because they understand that it's medicine. It's just really important for sure.
I
um,
totally agree. Now, how many surgeries would you say you've had during your battles? I heard you say earlier you did have a lot of multiple surgeries. Like about how many would you say, and what were they?
well, I've had heart surgeries, and I don't know the exact. I've had uh, I haven't had a ton, but I would say maybe 10 different surgeries
Okay.
for various things related to either arthritis, digestion, or my heart. So it's challenging, and I think even with that, we have to be discerning and realize that we still have choices. They're considering doing something else with my heart that I'm not sure I want to do, and that's okay to watch and listen and learn about it and just make decisions. We got to stay empowered, right, Trisha?
Definitely. And when you said
So
a survivor of it, I really liked that terminology. I normally use fighter because I feel like just when we think we survive, like you said, more stuff comes forward, and we're always continuing this battle with chronic illness. As we survive one battle, we start anew.
right,
So I
for
definitely
sure.
pray for you on this new journey and obstacle, and I pray that I always feel like when I pray, God kind of throws in front of me the knowledge. It's like random, like random stuff will pop up on my phone, and these links will add me down like an Alice in Wonderland. And before I realize it, I've come across all the knowledge and information I need to make me feel secure in whatever choices I need. So hopefully, He does that for you as well, and that after educating yourself on all your options, that you find one that really clicks with you.
Yeah, thank you. I believe the universe gives us what we need for sure. Um, well, I do have to end very soon. It's getting close to 3. We have to take Mary Jane to the vet.
Oh, that's perfect. So, honestly, I feel like I have actually asked all my questions. I just wanted to tell you one more thing. Have you ever tried cannabis like a tincture on your
Yes.
actual, directly on your eczema, not orally?
Yeah, I've tried just about every way.
You
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, psoriasis is it's autoimmune, and sometimes it will clear. It. I think what happened with me is the flare up went on too long before I really made the decision to try something else, and so I kind of got in this cycle. But it's starting to come out, and I use topicals on it for sure, and it does help, but it just will not quit. So that's why I made the decision that I did. But
Yeah.
I still put the topical on there because it definitely feels better for sure.
Definitely. I was just wondering if you ever did. If not, I wanted to recommend because I would have loved to see like the changes or if your topicals are pure THC or not. Because the more THC I feel that's in it, it does
Hmm.
change the skin cells. I've noticed on a few different people, but I feel like it's a higher THC content than a CBD. So maybe that's
Yeah.
something you could look into in the future. But
Thank you.
definitely the higher the THC, it has to be really high though.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I have tried. I mean, sometimes there have been times when it cleared it up. It just, for whatever reason, my body is
hasn't.
like very resistant right now, but it's getting there. It's getting
Well,
there.
I appreciate all your
Thank you.
time and I appreciate you coming on so much. And I look forward to chatting with you again in the future. And I love all of your work. And thank you for doing what you do in the cannabis community. You're amazing and definitely loved.
Oh, thank you so much, Trisha, and thank you for all you do as well. And thanks for having me here in the 420 Smoke Room.
Yeah, you're
Till
welcome.
next time.
Yeah,
Thanks
all
so
right.
much.
You're welcome. Bye, everyone.
Bye.